Well, tell me, first of all, how this works. So how do you figure out what the odds are on something? What's your criteria?
Well, the biggest misconception about betting odds is that I'm trying to predict the outcome of an event.
Right.
Like, say a Toronto Argonauts football game. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
I am indeed.
Say you're trying to set a price on that game. We don't really care about what the outcome of the game is, per se. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get the money that people bet on the game to equal out on both sides of the matchup. So we want Toronto to have X number of dollars, and then we want, say, Montreal to have X number of dollars as well. And if a sportsbook does that, then they make money.
Then they make money.
They make money that way. And it's a theoretical goal. It's a lot of times you're what we call out of balance on a game, and you may have more money on one side than the other. But that's the goal, and that's what the odds or the point spread's for. It's a number created to split the action both ways, either involving a money line or a point spread.
Okay, so the question here is, which film will have the highest 2016 U.S. box office gross revenue? You've got Rogue One, Finding Dory, and then Other. So Rogue One is, it says minus 750, Finding Dory plus 450, and then Other is plus 7,500. What does that exactly mean?
Well, it's basically like decimal odds or fractional odds, but they're converted into money line form.
Right.
And what that means on a practical level is, say you went to the sports book and you wanted to bet that the Star Wars movie would be the top grossing film of the year, you'd have to lay $750 for every 100 you want to win, U.S. or Canadian. I'm not going to.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No one wants to do that right now.
Yeah. Exactly. But so that's how we basically make the favorite. You have to pay a premium to take the favorite.
Right. So if I put down $1,500 on Rogue One, if that one wins, then I make $1,700. I get $1,700 back, right?
That's correct. You get $1,700 back, which is, of course, $200 of profit and your original bet back. Now, the other side, I don't think Finding Dory is going to be the biggest film of the year. I think it's just kind of a slam dunk here. A plus money price, like plus 450 for Finding Dory. If you want to take an underdog, you bet $100. And if for some miracle Finding Dory becomes the number one film of the year, you get $550 back. So basically your $100 bet plus $450. And that's why sports handicappers like to look at the plus side of the equation. And the NHL is a good example. That's just a made-to-order sport for the underdogs.
Now, are you a Star Wars fan?
Yeah, I am. I haven't seen. It's funny. I haven't seen it. I didn't see the previous one,
right.
And I haven't really read much about this one yet, other than the statistical data. Like the revenue projections and everything. I kind of have a strange deal where I love pop culture, but I never have time to watch it. So, I was there at the first film ever in 1977, and I had no idea we'd still be talking about it in 2016.
I don't think anybody did. George Lucas, when he made the film, actually said, "This is going to tank terribly. I don't even want to be around for it." He left town, and then he started seeing news. He started seeing news reports that people are lining up in front of theaters to see his movie. Really remarkable.
Surreal experience.
So, but a lot of what you do is dealing with pop culture. So, you contributed advice on the 2016 presidential elections, the next James Bond actor, Rogue One, all that kind of stuff. Is this a big part of the business, or is this kind of a fun sideline?
It's a big part of the business in Europe. The Europeans love what they call novelty bets. And if you go to London is probably the most competitive sports betting market in the world because it's legal there.
Right.
It's regulated. It's accepted. Like the English Premier League teams are sponsored by the sports books. And they love these, and the Europeans love them. So it's very competitive in Europe. In the United States, and for offshore sports books that deal with the United States or Canada, it's just kind of the sideline. And it's funny. About 10 years ago, box office betting was actually kind of a big thing for a while. And the sports book that kind of pioneered it went out of business, and no one else has really picked up the mantle. So there's not really much of it to be found outside of Europe.
And if you were a betting man, and I'm assuming that you are, or are you?
Oh yeah,
you like to bet? Okay.
Yeah, I am, and for a number of years, 15 years, I was a sports handicapper.
Right.
And so I was on the other side of the window, and I was trying to beat the bookmaker, trying to figure out who this is. And that was a good experience. I actually did a nightly radio show for 3 years, and that was kind of fun. But now I'm on the other side of the window, and the way I'd approach it is, you just there's so much data on films. There's box office data. There's projections of box office data. There's people who try to predict and analyze box office data. So it's really easy to come up with the right side of these films.
So Rogue One is where you'd place your money, I guess, this weekend.
Oh yeah, I think it's a slam dunk. I mean, last time the previous Star Wars film, it topped $1 billion in worldwide revenue in 12 days, which is absolutely that's just insane. So I really don't think it's close here. When I set the lines, it was probably about 2 or 3 months ago. I started sketching these out, and there's a real buzz on Finding Dory, but I don't think it can, of course, match Star Wars. And the sign that I thought it was just going to be a slam dunk for Star Wars is when the Harry Potter movie did relatively poorly at the box office.
Yeah, that was interesting to me because it did well on its first week, but I think all the Harry Potter fans went in the first week. It's what it felt like to me.
Right. You see that a lot in the film business. You'll see a great first week, and it's what they used to call back in the Cecil B. DeMille age legs.
Yeah.
The first weekend kills, and then it dries up. And, of course, the thing about Star Wars, even back in 1977 when it first came out, it was kind of a badge of honor to have seen it, 50, 60 times.
That's right, yeah, and make Disney, or back then, I guess, Lucasfilms, richer and richer and richer. So,
exactly.
Bet on Rogue One, a Star Wars story. It's minus 750. So if you bet $1,500, you'll make $200. What kind of bet would you put down? Like, what sort of bets do you see? Do people come in and say, "Here's $500,000"? Does that happen, or?
Oh yeah, that's the amount of money bet on sports worldwide is insane.
Right.
There's some estimates that it's $1 trillion a year business worldwide. And it's hard to get accurate numbers because so much of it is underground, either offshore in places like Costa Rica or just illegal, or as we call them, local bookmakers, because we don't like the word illegal. And so it's mind-boggling. It's billions for sure. And something like this. Probably, to put it in perspective, I handicapped the election.
Right.
I don't know if you guys up there in Canada are aware we had an election.
We heard something about it, yeah.
And we had a upset winner that made a lot of people very unhappy.
Yeah.
I handicapped the betting odds on that, and I first started to get the idea that the polls were inaccurate probably about September. And that was supposedly what really killed the election.
And what led you to believe that?
Oh, it was simple. I took the poll percentages and I basically extrapolated them to money lines, and they were out of whack. The money lines were different. The money lines were showing a closer race than the polls, and I really didn't have a high degree of confidence. In fact, I said that. I said the polls are probably off. I don't know by how much, but that was where I first got the idea. It's pretty simple stuff, really.
Yeah, well, Rogue One, I think, is going to be a monster this weekend. They're expecting between 130 and 150 U.S. at the box office.
Wow, yeah, it's just mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling, and so have you seen specifically for Rogue One people betting on that particular thing on the movies?
Again, I really don't have access to sportsbook data, so a lot of this is just guesswork and estimates. I would imagine Rogue One is supposed to be the hottest movie of the year, and no one seems to have anything even close to counter it. Internationally, there's some films that have a really good, they got a really good box office in Asia, and if you're looking for the top international film of the year, there may be some competition. But as far as U.S., I think there's just no competition whatsoever.
Jim, thank you so much. Pleasure to speak to you.
Yeah, and like I said, we it's at sportsbettingexperts.com.
Sure.
We're there's a lot of people that give odds. We're the only ones that are serious about it. They actually hired a real odds maker to make sure these odds are right, and I have a lot of fun with it. So come check us out.
Absolutely, and it's sportsbettingexperts.com, right?
Yes, sir.
Cool.
That is correct.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Okay, great. Have a good day.
You too.